All right. Good afternoon. Good morning. Maybe it's good evening if you're watching us on the replay. My name's CJ Curry. This is the CJ Curry Show, and it's presented by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is making daily fantasy simple. You select anywhere from 2 to 6 of your favorite superstars from your favorite sports. You decide whether they go over more or less on their projection, and then you can win up to 25 times your money. It's pretty simple, my friends. If you're not playing on PrizePicks yet, promo code Curry gets you a 100% instant deposit match. I've left a link for you down in the description of today's video for you to sign up and get started playing on PrizePicks. Now, today's a big day. It is game 1 of the NBA Finals. Yes, we finally reached the pinnacle, the end, the finish line of the NBA season, so to speak, and I'm really looking forward to it. Why am I looking forward to it? Well, we've got Nikola Jokic, who's never won a ring in his career. We've also got Jimmy Butler on the other side, who's never won a ring in his career. So it's kind of a breath of fresh air, so to speak. We're going to get somebody new in there, some new blood holding up that NBA championship trophy, some new blood putting on a ring. All right? And I'm glad to see that. No more Curry, no more LeBron, no more of these same olds, right? We finally got some new blood in there. So it's exciting. I think it'll be a great series. I am concerned, Miami coming off of a 7-game series against the Boston Celtics. Are they going to be refreshed, rejuvenated? Do they have enough left in the gas tank to take out the Denver Nuggets? The Denver Nuggets have been chilling. They took care of business real quick against the Los Angeles Lakers. They bumped the king. They knocked him off his throne. And they've been taking it easy, patching up any wounds that they might have, putting ice on any bruises that they might have occurred along the way. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. Jokic is a bad boy, but the Miami Heat, they got some bad boys too. Caleb Martin, I think, should have won the MVP of the Eastern Conference Finals. What do you guys think? Was Jimmy Butler the right choice, or should it have been Caleb Martin? Caleb Martin was going off. So he's obviously going to be somebody that a lot of you will probably have a lot of interest in today when it comes to, making your player prop selections. But anyway, let's dive into it real quick. We got the Miami Heat and Denver Nuggets. Totals 219 points. We've got a 9-point spread. So they do expect, they being the lines makers, Vegas, whatever you want to call them, they do expect a mollywhopping by the Denver Nuggets tonight. They think that they're going to put a beat down on the Miami Heat. It's a 9-point spread, so this one does have sort of, blowout implications, so to speak. But a pretty nice total of 219 points, so we're not mad at that. We could take some overs from this game. As far as injury news goes, Tyler Herro has been cleared for basketball activities, but he does not look like he is ready to make his return to the Miami Heat rotation anytime soon. So Tyler Herro still out, okay? Don't expect him to show up tonight. He won't be there. As far as projected starting lineups go, we've got Miami with Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, Jimmy Butler, Caleb Martin, and Bam Adebayo. Over on the Denver Nuggets side, pretty much the same starting 5 that they've been running with throughout their playoff run. Jamal Murray at point guard, KCP, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, and Nikola Jokic, obviously, manning the middle. So those are your starting lineups for both teams. Again, 219 points is the total, 9-point spread. Doesn't look like it's going to be a competitive game just based on the spread. I mean, maybe Denver pulls away late. I don't know. Hopefully it doesn't blow out, because obviously blowouts are the bane of our existence, especially if we have any overs on this particular game. Let's run through the chat real quick and say what's up to everybody here. We got Dominic in the building. He says, let's go. CJ in the house. It's going to be a good day. Dominic, good to see you. Thanks for being here, Dom. JC says he smashed the like button, and I encourage everybody out there who's watching to hit that like button for me. Let's go ahead and try to run this up to over 100 likes. I know it's been a minute. You guys are rusty. You forgot the name of the game, but you got to get those likes up. We get those likes up. We get this video out to more people. Hopefully we help some folks win some money tonight. JC's already leaving some picks. We're going to definitely investigate all the picks that you guys are talking about in today's live chat. Peyton says, oh snap, with the big eye emoji. I guess he wasn't expected to see me today. Well, Peyton, I've got a bunch of surprises up my sleeve, brother. So surprise. Ferry's in the building, says, damn, Curry's back at it again with the sauce. Let's get it. You flex. I got to flex back. Let's see here. Kaiser's in the building. He says, what's up? Eric's liking some different props. Bam Adebayo, under 9 rebounds. He's also liking some Michael Porter Jr. under 15.5 points. All right, I'm going to get to all your questions, or I'm going to get to as many as I can as one man is, humanly possible. How about that? That's a more fair statement. Ali in the building says, welcome back, CJ. Hope you're doing well. Same to you, brother. Back at you. KC says, hi. Hello to you. Who we got here? CJ 3 Stacks. I love that name. Anybody who's got the name CJ is good in my book. Welcome back, brother. Hope life has been well for you. It's been going really well. We've been just cruising along in Patreon, posting MLB, WNBA, shoot, even some Major League Soccer MLS picks. I mean, we've been buzzing along. We've been having some profitable days here lately. So if you're not a part of Patreon, you want to support the channel, guys, jump into Patreon. It's a new month, new money to be made. There's a link down in the description of today's video if you want to become a Patreon member. It's like 66 cents a day. Come on. You can afford that. You hit one 2-pick power play for 10 bucks and Patreon's paid for. You're free rolling for the rest of the month. All right, it pays for itself. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Let's see here. Everyday Fantasy says, what it do, fam? Great to have you back. You flex. I gotta flex back. Those are the rules. Derek's in the building, says we need a first game sweep. The board and PrizePicks, just unbelievable win for us tonight. Man, that would be crazy if we swept the board tonight. Game ones can be a little tricky though. I think you've seen it in the Eastern Conference, Western Conference finals. Game ones, two teams meeting in a new series, nothing is off the table. Anything is possible. It could go off the rails pretty quick. We'll see though. We're gonna look into it. Gio's in the building. CJ's live. Yes, I'm definitely live, and I'm in living color as well. Appreciate you. Thanks for being here. Tyrone says he's liking some Caleb Martin. He thinks Caleb Martin should have won that Eastern Conference Finals trophy, as does Travis. Supreme, you're flexing. I gotta flex. It's just part of the rules. Welly Well says, let's freaking go. Good to see you. Brian Williams is in the building. Shout out to Brian. Tazio says, we back fresh. I see you. Yep, I'm awesome. Is saying, why is Gordon the only option on PrizePicks for a 3-point make? I don't know. But maybe he knocks one down. He did a pretty good job in the last series and throughout the playoffs of knocking one down. We'll take a look at that one as well for you, though. Eric's in the building. I'm Cairo, says the new bets you can make on these finals are juicy. Yeah, PrizePicks has added some new player projection categories to their board. I don't know if you've been poking around on the NBA board on PrizePicks lately, but we'll take a look at some of the new categories as well. Filthy Hybrid says, I've been missing these lives. I know. I heard you guys loud and clear. I saw you guys in the comment section saying, hey, we missed the lives. Bring the lives back. When you go on live again? I really missed those, man. Here I am. I'm live. Big Meech. Good morning to you. Thanks for flexing, brother. Ace V's in the building. Shout out to you cats here. He's thinking the Miami Heat's going to win tonight. Well, based on our poll, 80% of you think that the Denver Nuggets are going to beat Miami in game one. All right. So hey, I'm kind of riding with the Nuggets myself. I think Denver's going to take game one in Denver. Kenny, let's get this money. And Josh says, what's up from East Texas? I see you. Jamil says, stay away from those new props. They're a distraction. So let's get into those real quick because you guys keep talking about them. You're bringing them up. Listen, obviously, guys, first and foremost, if you have not taken the Nikola Jokic free square yet, you can put up to 25 bucks on this thing. He needs to score 1 point, okay? His point projection tonight is 27.5. He needs to score 1 point. Pretty much a no-brainer. This is pretty much a guaranteed win. Unless he goes out there and gets hurt in like the first 30 seconds or a minute or whatever, first few minutes, and then doesn't come back for the rest of the game. God forbid that happens. But pretty much the guy's got to make one bucket, and then you got yourself a winning pick here with Nikola Jokic. So I have not used that. I wanted to save it. Saving up my acorns for today, for today's live stream. So obviously, I'm going to make that my first play, being that I have not used it yet. So maybe some of you guys have held on to it and waited for today's game. You still got over 8 hours to use this thing if you haven't used it yet. Like I said, you can put up to 25 bucks on it. So make sure that you're taking advantage of this. Obviously, don't let this go without taking it, all right? Now, you could 2-pick power play this if you're looking to try to build your bankroll up a little bit. You could pair this with your favorite pick from, I don't know, NBA tonight, maybe a Miami Heat pick. You could pair this up with some MLB. You could pair this up with, I think we got one WNBA game tonight. There's a lot of different ways, a lot of different options as to how you can play this prop. Or you could throw it in a 6-pick and swing for the fences, baby. Go big or go home. But no matter what you do with it, make sure that you are taking advantage of it and using the full $25 limit that they put on this promotion. So that one looks pretty good. All right, so what are these new categories? Well, they got points in crunch time. That was one of them. So what does this mean? Well, we've seen sort of the first 6 minutes. You've probably seen those projections already floating around, like what will a player do in his first 6 minutes of the game? Well, now they've got the last 6 minutes. of regulation. Now, that's important to note. This does not include overtime. This is regulation only. All right, 4 quarters. All right, that's regulation. The last 6 minutes of the fourth quarter. What will happen here? Now, these, I'm probably not going to get into any of these. I haven't played too many of the first 6-minute props. I doubt I'll play any of the last 6-minute props. These are very hard to research. These are very hard to get a feel for. I wish it was more. I mean, I guess, I don't know. What would you rather play? You guys tell me in the live chat. Would you rather play these last 6-minute options, or would you rather play, let's say they put fourth quarter props up on the board? Which would you rather, the fourth quarter projections or the last 6-minute projections? I mean, it's kind of the same thing. You're kind of like in the same sort of territory here. It's almost overlapping in a way. But yeah, I think I'm going to stay away from these. But it is pretty cool that they give you the option, if you want to get in on it, to do this. But I mean, these guys could foul out. I mean, they could get injured. It could turn into a blowout. There's a lot of different things, a lot of different factors to consider when you're thinking about the last 6 minutes of a basketball game, right? Tough to tell what's going to happen. I mean, hard to predict the future, right? That's basically what I'm saying. What else do they got? Field goals made in the first 5 attempts? Jeez, I don't know. Like, if you can find some good, solid data and you could research these, have at it. But basically, the first 5 shots that any of these 3 guys make, they got to make a pretty high percentage. Jokic has to go, what, at least 3 for 5? You're hoping for 4 for 5. I mean, he had to be shooting darn near perfect in order for you to hit the over on that. Jimmy Butler, 2.5 field goal makes in his first 5 attempts. Again, you're hoping he's going to make 3 out of 5. That's a pretty high field goal percentage for a guy who's mainly playing perimeter. He'll get in the lane. Obviously, he'll attack the basket and stuff. You got Michael Porter Jr. at 2.5 field goal makes in the first 5 attempts. We've seen him come out there and go like 0 for 7 from beyond the arc on his first 7 attempts. So that could be tricky too. I mean, if he comes out and he's hot, that's one different thing. You know, that's one situation, but I don't know. So some of these categories are really wild, man. You've got now just offensive rebounds as an option. I don't think I've ever seen that one before. I think that one's new. How many offensive rebounds will a particular player have? Now that one you could research pretty good with props.cash, and we'll take a look at some of that. You got defensive rebounds. Obviously, players tend to have more defensive rebounds than offensive rebounds. Offensive rebounds a little harder to come by. But I can see a guy like Jokic potentially having a big rebound type of game against an undersized, smaller Bam Adebayo. We've seen him do really good against guys like Anthony Davis, right, throughout the playoffs. So maybe Jokic, for some rebound props, has some potential, has some juice behind it. Outside of that, what else do we have? Deflections. I mean, I don't even know. If you guys know of a way to do research on deflections, please drop it in the live chat. I have no idea about deflections. Like, do they keep track? Obviously, they have to keep track of it somewhere. Is it on NBA.com? I know NBA.com has a pretty robust advanced stats page. Maybe they've got deflections in there somewhere. I don't know where you would even find deflections. I haven't looked. But there's a lot of different categories up here. We're going to probably stick to the more traditional ones. I'm going to run through the first page of the Daily Grind Fantasy Optimizer, and then we're going to go from there and see what kind of questions you guys have. We'll try to answer as many of your questions in the live chat. I appreciate everybody being here. We're already at 159 people watching, 54 likes. Again, the goal by the end of the stream is to go over 99.5 likes. So let's see if we could do that. Ace B says, good luck disputing those deflections with PrizePicks support. I mean, you know it's bound to happen. People are going to record video clips and try to send them over to PrizePicks and say, look right here, look. That was a deflection. Why didn't they get credit for it? Yeah, it's going to be a mess. I mean, those are very subjective type of calls. Deflections, deflected passes. I'm good. I'm going to stay away from it. Anyway, let's get into the Daily Grind Fantasy Optimizer. Guys, this tool is a game changer. It helps you find the value in your favorite sports. You know, those picks that get bumped up or bumped down, those picks that get removed completely from the PrizePicks board, the Daily Grind Fantasy Optimizer is the tool responsible for why things get bumped up or bumped down or removed from the board. It helps you find the value before the value slips away. So if you're not using it, Code Curry gets you a $5 discount on your first month. I've left a link down in the description below. Use that special link, use code Curry, and it helps support what I do here on the YouTube channel. All right. Now, the first one that's coming up on the optimizer is Bam Adebayo at 3.5 dimes. Now, at 3.5 assists, it's got about a 53% hit rate. So we're hoping for Bam Adebayo to have fewer than 4 assists, basically. So let's go take a look at some projections here. We're going to put some projections behind this optimizer play and see if Bam's projected for more or less than 3.5 dimes out on a couple of different player projection models. Now, this first model is provided to us by Action Labs. This one you have to pay for, but you know, me and you, we like this. So I'm giving you the sneak preview. Despite the fact that he is being bet under at 3.5 dimes, the projection for him today is at 4.1 according to Action Labs. So they think that Bam Adebayo is going to go over based on this first projection. But that's just one model. Obviously, that's just one projection tool. Let's check a couple different other projections here. The second projection's got him at exactly 3.5. Now, this one is also a premium projection site. This is RotoWire. So 4.1, 3.5. So far, we don't have any projections that have him going under. Now, the projection models, to be fair, listen to me, guys. The projection models have been all over the place throughout the Eastern Conference and Western Conference Finals. It's almost to the point where you can't trust A, the lines that the Vegas lines makers are putting up on your favorite sports books, or B, the projections on your favorite projection models. It almost doesn't matter, but I want to show you anyway because it is a data point worth considering before you go and make any selections tonight. All right, and then the third and final projection here is Numberfire. Numberfire is completely free. Head over to numberfire.com. Sign up for a free account. You'll get access to their projection models. They've got fantasy score. They got single stat player projections. All that stuff's right here. So we've got him at 3.5, 3.5, and 4.1. He is being bet under. Let's take an old school approach here. Let's put the plus EV aside for a moment. We'll go to the assist category. We'll go Miami versus Denver. We'll click Bam Adebayo's name. Here's what I want to see when I go here. I want to see how he's performed in the playoffs at 3.5 assists. Now, it is truly a coin flip. In other words, he's played in 20 playoff games. In those 20 playoff games, he has went over 3.5 assists in 10 out of 20. He's also went under 3.5 assists in 10 out of 20 games. So you're looking at exactly a 50% hit rate. Now, obviously, Miami will be on the road tonight. So what happens when Bam Bam goes on the road? Well, on the road, he's actually got a higher hit rate. 6 for 10 throughout the playoffs at 3.5 assists, averaging 5.2 dimes per game throughout 10 playoff games played away from Miami. So that's a 60% hit rate. So he does average more assists on the road, and he has a higher hit rate when he plays on the road. That's just something to kind of keep in mind. And we could also take a look at his previous matchups against the Denver Nuggets. Now, he's played Denver twice this season. And in both games, he has went under 3.5 dimes. Now, these games were back in December, back in February. All right. He ended up with 2 assists in each of those 2 games. So he did go under 3.5 for what it's worth. Just something to think about. I think for me, there's a lot of conflicting information here. Right? The odds say take the under. They're probably looking at what he's done historically against Denver. They're probably looking at like his kind of shaky hit rates overall throughout the playoffs. I mean, 50%, truly a coin flip, right? As far as how often he's covered this prop or gone under on this prop. So I don't know, maybe there's better play out there. Let's keep looking. But I wanted to give you some information on that one. Jimmy Butler's now at 27.5 points. Based on the odds pulled from the sports book, it is suggested to us by this optimizer that we go under on Jimmy Butler. In other words, he's got about a 52.5% chance that he stays under 28 points tonight on the road in Denver, game 1. Let's go take a look at Jimmy Buckets and see what his numbers are looking like. Now, if we are considering taking the under here, we hope that Jimmy Butler's projecting for less than 28 points. But as you can see from this first projection model, they've got high hopes for Jimmy Butler. 31.2 points at 27.5 being the line. All right, this is a pretty significant over projection. Let's check a couple different other projection models though. let's not stop there. We've got multiple data points that we could look at here. The second projection has him at 27.4. Now that is obviously closer to 27.5, slightly less than 27.5, less than 28, which is what you're hoping for if you plan on taking the under on Jimmy Butler. All right, so we got one projection going over. We got one projection going under. Let's wrap this up with a third and final projection. This one, again, coming to you from Numberfire. Numberfire's got him at 28.8 points. So you got 2 out of 3 projections that suggest we should be taking the over on Jimmy Butler. But let's dig into the game logs. Much like we did with Bam Adebayo, we could do the same with Jimmy Butler here. We could take a look at his points logs at 27.5 points game. You can see he's 9 for 19 throughout the playoffs this season, going over 27.5 points. So he's only covered this, only gone over in 47% of the playoff games that he's appeared in. Averaging 28.2, just slightly more than 27.5, right? And then we can take a look at what he's done on the road. 27.8 points per game on the road. That is a 4 out of 9. That's a 44% hit rate in road playoff games. Not great. If you're considering the over, it's not a great look. Now compare that to home. At home, he's averaging 28.6 points per game, a healthier points per game average. But you can kind of see why people would want to bet the under on Jimmy Butler. Limited rest, right? Coming off of a grueling 7-game series against the Boston Celtics. And now he's going out west to Denver, Colorado, higher altitude. What's going to happen here? I don't know. You know, that air starts getting kind of thin in the Rocky Top, Colorado there. Denver, Colorado. We could also take a look at what he's done against the Denver Nuggets. Now, he has played the Nuggets twice this season, just like Bam Adebayo did. And in both of those games, just like Bam Adebayo for those assists, he's went under 17 points back on December 30th. And then more recently, February 13th, 24 points against the Nuggets. All right, so he is 0 for 2, averaging 20.5 points per game against Denver. So maybe it's going to be one of those games where these guys are going to be going under. I know, it's playoff Jimmy, Himmy, whatever you want to call him, Jimmy Buckets. He's got so many different nicknames. But based on what we're seeing here, he's 9 for 19, just a 47% hit rate. He's 0 for 2 against Denver. His points per game average is even lower on the road. So that's just something to kind of consider and keep in mind here tonight. Who knows? You know, who knows how much gas is left in the tank for any of these guys. Let's keep scrolling through the board here. What else do we got? They got Bruce Brown for under 1.5 steals and blocks. You got about a 52.3% chance that he stays under that line. I'm going to stay away from that one for now. Maybe I'll revisit it tonight. Here's everybody's darling from the Eastern Conference Finals. That's Caleb Martin. Now, Caleb Martin's points have been money, right? Dude's just been putting up a ton of points recently. But this particular one is a little different. Switch up for you. How about his rebounds and assists at 8.5? We got a 52.3% chance of him going over 8.5 rebounds and assists. So he needs 9 or more. Let's go check some projections out on Caleb Martin's R+A, rebounds plus assists. You know, these NBA Eastern Conference, Western Conference Finals have been crazy. So if you're going to play tonight, which I'm sure you're going to all play, that's why you're here, that's why you're watching. If you're going to play tonight, play a little lighter. That's just my words of wisdom for you. There's better options out there in different sports like MLB, WNBA. Shoot, we even won with Major League Soccer last night. I mean, there's other options out there. I'm just saying, tread lightly with the NBA from here on out. You should have been treading lightly for a while now. But like I said, if you're still going to get in on some action, I can't blame you there. I just, I'm looking out for your coins. I'm looking out for your pockets. That's all. Second projection for Caleb Martin is 9.7 rebounds and assists on a line of 8.5. So we've got an 8.6, a 9.7, 2 projected overs thus far. And then we're going to go to a third and final projection here, and that's going to be on Numberfire. He's at 6.6 boards plus another 1.9 for the assists, which brings him to 8.5, which is exactly where his line is today. So I don't see any projections that have Caleb Martin going under 8.5. Everything's 8.5 or higher. So just like we did with the first two Miami Heat players, we're still looking for a Denver Nugget prop to consider outside of the Nikola Jokic free square, obviously. But we're going to go take a look at the game logs for Caleb Martin here at 8.5 rebounds and assists. Now, when you come and you check these game logs out, it's going to look like a bloodbath here. What do I mean by that? Well, he's played 20 playoff games. He's only collected 9 or more rebounds and assists in 5 out of 20 games. That's a 25% hit rate. Interesting, right? A lot more red than green, which is not good if you're considering the over. Now, of course, this game will be played in Denver tonight. 7.3 rebounds and assists for Caleb Martin throughout the playoffs. When he goes on the road, that number dips actually down to 6.4. So the line's 8.5 rebounds and assists. His average on the road throughout the playoffs, 6.4 rebounds and assists, which makes him 2 for 10. That's just a 20% hit rate. 25% hit rate overall, 20% hit rate when he's on the road. Pretty ugly, if you ask me. Now, we could also take a look and see what he's done against Denver, and much like his cohorts, Jimmy Butler on points, Bam Adebayo on assists. He played Denver once and he went under his rebounds and assists line in that game. Now, obviously, his role has expanded. You have no Tyler Herro. You have no Victor Oladipo anymore. Miami's dealing with some injuries, right? So Caleb Martin's role has grown as the playoffs have pushed forward. So take this game log against Denver with a grain of salt, all right? It was one game, much different role back in February than the role that he has now here in June. Happy June 1st to everybody out there. But yeah, Caleb Martin, just 5 for 20 throughout the playoffs, guys. I mean, even if you wanted to just look at his last 10 games, 2 for 10. Now he has put up back-to-back monster games. 16 and 13 rebounds and assists in the last 2 games. I don't know. That was against Boston. This is a whole different team today, a whole different matchup today against the Denver Nuggets. We don't know what's going to happen. All right. I'm providing you with some information. Maybe it helps you out and sways you one way or another. All right. Let's keep going through the board here. What else do we have? After we get through this first page, guys, I'll start taking some of your questions from the chat. I know you got a lot of them, and I want to try to get to as many as possible. What about Bruce Brown? Bruce Brown's player points plus rebounds. You got 15.5 on that one. 52% chance that he goes under 15.5 points plus rebounds. So let's dig into this a little bit. Bruce Brown, maybe, possibly the sixth man of the year when it comes to the playoffs. He's been one of the better guys off the bench for any playoff ball club so far, right? So we're going to take a look at some projections for him on his points and rebounds and see if he's projecting for more or less than 15.5 today. With this first projection, we've got a projection of 15.4 on a line of 15.5. So again, the optimal way to play this was the under or less based on the odds pulled from different sports books. First projection has him at 15.4, which is obviously less than 15.5. Second projection on Bruce Brown, 12.96, even if we were feeling generous, and we wanted to round this projection up to 13. 13 still a far cry from 16, which is what he would need to go over and sink our battleship, right? So 13 points and rebounds, less than 15.5, and less than the 16, which would be the killer number. We don't want him to get to 16. And the third and final projection has Bruce Brown at 10.1 points. No need for the calculator on this one, folks. Pretty easy peasy math. 4 rebounds, which brings him down to 14.1 points and rebounds. So you could go Bruce Brown based on the projections, based on the odds that we've seen here for Bruce Brown. You could go Bruce Brown under 15.5 points and rebounds. Hopefully these projection models, hopefully the betting odds are in our favor tonight. But like I said, it's been crazy. It's been the wild, wild west here throughout the Eastern Conference and Western Conference playoffs. Speaking of, let's go ahead and take a look at some game logs here for Bruce Brown before we go committing to anything. You know, I got trust issues. Before I go putting a ring on Bruce Brown, I got to see what he's been up to. All right, 9 out of 15 games. These are 15 playoff games. He has gone over 15.5 points and rebounds in 60% of those games. All right, pretty impressive. Not a bad hit rate. Pretty consistent. Did fall short against the Lakers with only 8 points and rebounds the last time he took the floor. Let's see what happens when he's playing at home. 16.1 is his playoff average. When he plays at home, he's actually averaging 17.6. So here we go. We're making these decisions more difficult by looking at these game logs, aren't we? 6 for 8. 75% hit rate when he plays at home in Denver. All right. Averaging a healthy 17.6 points and rebounds per game. You look at the last 5 games, 19.2 points and rebounds. It's a lot of tough decisions that have to be made tonight, folks. It's NBA game ones, man. Gonna be tough. It's gonna be a tough one to figure out. Let's see what he's done against Miami this season. Well, he has played Miami twice. And looky here, we found a couple of green beans. 17 points and rebounds against Miami back on December 30th. 18 against Miami on February 13th. So he's 2 for 2 against the Heat this season at 15.5 points and rebounds. So based on what we've seen here, 2 for 2 against Miami this season, going over 15.5 points and rebounds, plus his hit rates at home throughout the playoffs, 75%, 6 for 8 throughout the playoffs. So people are betting the under on this. The projections are saying take the under on this, but gee whiz, it's just really hard to feel great about going under on a dude that's doing work, especially when he's playing in Denver, man. There's a lot of just a lot of tricky situations, and really anything can happen here. That's why I say bet lightly tonight. If you're going to put any money out there on these NBA games, tread lightly, my friends. Tread lightly. All right, let's keep digging through and see what else we have here on the first page of the optimizer. We got Bam Adebayo at 20.5 points and assists. He's at about a 52% chance to hit the under on this particular player projection. So we need Bam to stay under 21 points and assists. Now, taking the unders on Bam recently have been working out more often than not. Let's go see what Bam Adebayo is up to here on his projections. 24.6 on a line of 20.5. That's a pretty big over there based on these projection models. Again, the projections have been a little tough to trust here throughout the playoffs. Second Bam Adebayo projection, we've got 25.7 on a line of 20.5. So the models, they're loving Bam Adebayo tonight. A third and final projection's got Bam at 21.8. 21.8 points and assists. So of course he's projecting over on 3 out of 3 models. But let's go take a look at the game logs here for Bam. Where's he at here? Using props.cash, guys, if you want access to all these pretty green and red bar graphs that you're seeing here and all these stats and stuff that props.cash has to offer, use code Curry. I've left a link down in the description of today's video. You can save up to 25% off when you use code Curry and use that special link that I left for you down in the description. So if you've seen props.cash before, maybe you never have, and you've always thought about trying it out, it's a great time to try it out. Save yourself 25% off. All right, Bam Adebayo. I know he's projecting to go over here, but you take a look at the game logs. 7 out of 20 playoff appearances, Bam Adebayo has stayed under 20.5 points and assists. Let me rephrase that. 13 out of 20 games, Bam Adebayo has stayed under at 20.5 points and assists. He's only gone over in 7 out of 20. So he's got a poor hit rate here of clearing 20.5 points and assists, just a 35% hit rate. And he's gone under in his last 5 games. He's riding a 5-game cold streak, so to speak. All right. 20 points and assists per game throughout his 20 playoff game run. Let's take a look at some of the home and road splits here. Obviously, he's going to be on the road playing in Denver tonight. He's sitting at just a 50% hit rate on the road. Not a great hit rate. It's not like he's covering at a high clip when he plays away from Miami. But his average does shoot up to 23.1 points and assists. A lot of that has to do with some of the big games he had against Milwaukee. He had 29 in Milwaukee, 30 against Milwaukee in Milwaukee. Put up a 31 against Boston, one of the earlier games in that series against the Celtics on the road. All right. Now, you can also take a look at what he's done against Denver this season. He is actually 2 for 2 against the Nuggets covering this player prop. He has gone over in both meetings. 24 points and assists in the first one back in December, 21 in their most recent meeting against Denver. So he's projected to go over on 3 different models. He's 2 for 2 against Denver back in the regular season. He averages more points and assists on the road throughout the playoffs than he has at home. But he's being bet under, and he's riding a 5-game cold streak in the playoffs. So you see why it gets a little difficult to bet on the NBA when it comes to the conference finals and the NBA finals. There's Bam Adebayo's last 5 games. He's 0 for 5, and he's averaging just a paltry 15.8 points and assists. I mean, I think there's a chance tonight that Bam Adebayo might get into some foul trouble against Nikola Jokic. That's also something that you have to keep in mind. Maybe his minutes will be somewhat reduced because he'll be picking up fouls against Joker, arguably the best center in the NBA. Something to think about, So there's Bam Adebayo's points and assists breakdown for you. What else do we have here? Gabe Vincent. Under 12.5 points, 52% chance of hitting. Let's just call it that. So they say that we should be taking the under. Now, they meaning the odds. This is all data driven. This isn't the folks who run Daily Grind Fantasy telling you to play these things. It's all math driven. This isn't me telling you to play anything. It's all driven by numbers. I hope you guys are wrapping your head around that, right? Like, some people will leave a comment after a bad video or picks won't hit or something. They'll say, hey, I took 6 of your picks and only 2 of them hit. Like, they're not my picks. I'm reading off of a screen. I'm reporting the news, okay? Think of it that way. I'm just here as the messenger, reporting my findings. I'm documenting what I'm finding here based on the research that I'm doing. Now, what you guys decide to do with these picks and this information is totally up to you. It's actually none of my damn business. And that's okay. It's going to be some tough decision making tonight. Gabe Vincent, 12.5 player points. The under is the way to go. Let's run it through some projection models. Again, these projections, in the regular season, they were on the money. Lately in the playoffs, a little dicey. But the first projection on Gabe Vincent does seem to align with or rock with the way that the Daily Grind Fantasy Optimizer is telling us to play this thing. So the odds on the sports books all have Gabe Vincent going under 12.5 points. His projection on this first model is 9, which is obviously less than 12.5. So let's run a second projection here for Gabe Vincent. 12.84, I mean, it's not a crazy high projection. It's right around that 12.5 point number. Slightly projected to go over though. And of course, we're gonna run it in a third and final projection here, which has him at 11.3, putting him under on 2 out of 3 projection models that we were able to reference. Okay? So you got 2 out of 3 models saying take the under on Gabe Vincent. The one model that did have him going over wasn't over by a whole lot. So let's go take a look at his game logs. I mean, Gabe Vincent, nice little role player. He's had some highlight moments, we'll say, throughout the playoffs. Taking a look at his game logs here, 12.5 points is the line. He's gone over this in 9 out of 19 games, which is just a 47% hit rate. It's not a massive hit rate here. Less than a coin flip, in other words. 47%. That's 12 points per game on average. Like I said, he's had some nice moments, especially when you go back here and you take a look at some of the games against Milwaukee, right? 22, New York, 20 and 21. Had a couple of nice moments in the Boston series, 15, 29, 17, 15. All right, but he's playing on the road tonight, and maybe that will shake things up here. So he's averaging 12 points per game throughout the playoffs. His last few games played on the road, he hasn't performed so well. But overall, 6 for 9 on the road throughout the playoffs, 67% hit rate, averaging 14.9 points per game. So he's averaging a lot more points per game on the road than he is at home throughout the playoffs. At home, he's averaging just 9.4 points per game. Okay? Now, he has played Denver twice this season. 3 points at Denver in his first game, 15 points in the most recent meeting against Denver. That one was in Miami. So what are we thinking about Gabe Vincent here at 12.5 points? We riding the over, under? Like Tyrone says, it's called gambling. You play what you feel is good. If he gives plays that hit all the time, then he'll be the richest man ever. Yeah, trust me, I would not need to come up here on YouTube. If I was getting all the picks right, yeah, you wouldn't see me here. I'd be out on a yacht probably, a nice yacht somewhere. Yeah, that would be sweet. But no, I'm here in Tampa, Florida, helping you guys, or trying to help you guys. You know, presenting and providing some information that will hopefully put you on some winning picks. But it's looking difficult, right? Can we all agree? Can we all agree that tonight's looking difficult? We're looking at everything that we can here, folks. We're looking at the way that people are betting on sports books, right? So the betting odds. We're looking at 3 different projection models, right? We're looking at game logs. We're going thorough. We're going deep. But we can only control and do so much, right? At the end of the day, they're going to tip that ball off, and then the players are going to play. And then whatever happens from there is out of our control. All right? Out of our control. All right, so that's Gabe Vincent for you in a nutshell on those player points at 12.5. Jamal Murray, 5 rebounds. 5 rebounds. Looks like the over is the way to go here. You got about a 52% chance that Jamal Murray is going to collect at least 5 boards or more. So let's go take a look at some projections for Jamal Murray. First projection's got him at 5.2. You're seeing a lot of juice, by the way, on Jamal Murray at 4.5 rebounds. A lot of people are betting the over here. I mean, minus 155 on a site like DraftKings, minus 160 on a site like BetMGM. So all the money's coming in on the over. They expect Jamal Murray to collect at least 5 rebounds tonight. And his first projection is at 5.2. So this could be very well one of those picks that ends up in a tie or push. But based on what we're seeing so far, I mean, the over at 4.5 rebounds is a steal. But we're getting it at 5 on PrizePicks, so it might end up with exactly 5 boards. 5.3 on his second projection. That's looking really good. And then the third and final projection for Jamal Murray, they've got him at, 4.9 rebounds? 4.9 boards for Jamal. So he's right around 5 boards. I think 5 is an appropriate number. So PrizePicks bumping him up from 4.5 to 5 was probably a smart move on their behalf, right? It really looks like it's going to set up for 5 boards today. So let's take a look at some game logs for Jamal Murray on these 5 rebounds. Let's see how many times he's collected at least 5 boards. And it looks like in the playoffs here, 10 out of 15 times he has had at least 5 rebounds. So that's a 67% hit rate. Now, if you take the over at 5 rebounds, you're really hoping for 6. I mean, we don't play to tie. We don't play to push. It doesn't really make you as much money when you tie or push on your picks. So if we dial this up to 5.5 rebounds, PropStatCash will show us how many times that he's collected at least 6 or more rebounds throughout his 15-game playoff run. And in this case, it's just a 40% hit rate. So might be difficult for him to find 6 boards. A lot easier, more realistic for him to find at least 5. All right, but again, I'm not looking to tie. I'm not looking to push. So, I mean, for me, this one's a little less attractive. We could also see what he's done at home. 5.5 rebounds per game when he plays in Denver throughout the playoffs. That's a 5 out of 8 hit rate. 63% of the time, he's collected at least 5 boards. He's only gone over 5 rebounds in 2 out of 8 home playoff games. And of course, he has played Miami already this season, just once though. And in that game, he collected just 2 rebounds. That was back in December 30th to be exact. So there you go. A little bit of information on Jamal Murray. 4.5 rebounds. If you could get him somewhere at 4.5, that looks like a good play. 5 might be a little difficult for him to find that 6th elusive rebound. So just kind of keep that in mind. Be prepared for a tie or a push. Going through the rest of the board here, we got some other options. We're getting around the 51 to 52% hit rate based on the odds pulled from the different sports books on a lot of these plays. But let's try to drill through these. Caleb Martin at points and rebounds, 23.5 is the line. They're saying that about a 52% chance that Caleb Martin goes under 23.5 points and rebounds. Let me ask you guys, does anybody out there have the cojones to take the under on Caleb Martin points? Anything involving Caleb Martin's points. Does anybody out there have the huevos to take Caleb Martin under on points for anything? If you do, hey, this might be the play for you, man. Let's look at it. 21.2 points and rebounds. First projection. Again, the line's 23.5, the projection's 21.2. So it's less. It's less than his line today by about 2.3 points and rebounds. All right, that's one projection. What about the rest? Second projection for Caleb Martin, points and rebounds. We've got him projected for 20.43. So once again, that's two projections that have Caleb Martin as a steep projected under today. We're going to take it to a third and final, though, as we typically do. The third and final projection for Caleb Martin's got him at 14.2 points, plus another 6.6 for the boards. That brings him to 20.8, my friends. 20.8. So that's 3 out of 3 projection models that all have Caleb Martin going under his 23.5 points and rebounds line tonight. Now, he was the man. He was the man against Boston. But this ain't Boston. Boston, a pretty good defensive team. Denver, also a really good defensive team. If you take a look here, they rank number 2 in points allowed, meaning they are giving up the second fewest points per game to opposing teams in the NBA. Pretty crazy. Let's see here. Where's Mr. Caleb Martin? I gotta see the game logs here for this guy. Where's he at? All right. I take that back, by the way. Denver giving up the 8th fewest points per game and the 1st fewest rebounds per game to opposing teams. So top 10 in both points and rebounds. Stingy. They stingy. Now take a look at these game logs. I mean, it might not be that crazy to take an under on Caleb Martin today. It might not be too crazy. At 23.5 points and rebounds, he's 4 for 20 throughout the playoffs, just a 20% hit rate covering this line. Okay, now I know he's coming off a back-to-back 36-point and rebound games against the Boston Celtics, 36 and 36. But I mean, his last 10 games, he's just 3 for 10 throughout the playoffs, 4 for 20. He doesn't have the greatest hit rates in the world. I mean, this guy's got to come crashing back down to earth at some point. At some point. Taking a look at what he's done on the road throughout the playoffs, averaging just 20 points and rebounds per game, 3 for 10 on the road. Okay? Wild. He's played Denver one time this season. Again, his role was obviously a lot different than it is now. He's got a much bigger role, like we talked about. So at 23.5 points and rebounds, he only managed 12 points and rebounds back February 13th against Denver. And that was just a few months ago. His role has grown greatly. Look, I asked you, who out there possessed the cojones to take the under on Caleb Martin? Your answer is me. That's who. I'm going to take it. I just did. I put him with Nikola Jokic, free square. I'm taking Caleb Martin under 23.5 points and rebounds. Hey, call me a pessimist. Call me a non-believer. I'm just going to ride with the fact that this guy has only hit this in 4 out of 20 playoff games. He's on the road tonight, playing against Denver. Hey, I'm calling my shot. I'm taking Caleb Martin under. I'm crazy, though. So unless you're crazy like me, don't do this. All right? Let's move on. Let's see what else we got here. Anything else standing out? We're reaching the end of the first page of the board here. Kyle Lowry's points and assists are sitting at 10.5. Kyle Lowry's points and assists over at 10.5. Somebody asked about Kyle Lowry a moment ago. We're whispering because secrets must be kept amongst friends. Don't let it out. It's between us. Kyle Lowry, 12.6 points and assists. He's at 10.5. We're seeing some juice on the over for Lowry here at 10.5. First projection, rocking with the way that the optimizer's telling us to play this prop at 10.5. They're saying take the under, or take the over. Sorry, take the over on Lowry at points and assists. And the first projection agrees with that. Second projection on Lowry, 13.6 on a line of 10.5. And a third and final projection for Kyle Lowry here, folks. We got him at 8.3 points plus another 3.7 plus another 5, rather. Another 5 for the dimes. So 8.3 points plus another 5 for the dimes. 13.3 points and assists. All right. 3 out of 3 projections. Very high on Kyle Lowry's points and assists. So let's look at some game logs for BBL. BBL, anyone? Does that ring any bells? All right, looking at Lowry here, super good hit rates. I mean, 10.5 points and assists. 15 out of 20 times this season in the playoffs, Kyle Lowry has exceeded 10.5 points and assists. He's averaging 14 points and assists per game, in fact. So this is a 75% hit rate on a 10.5 points and assists line here. I think this one looks really good so far. Not only does it have the projections behind it, it also has the juice on the sports books behind it, and it's got hit rates, historical hit rates throughout the playoffs behind it as well. 15 out of 20, 75% hit rate. The guy's averaging 14 points and assists per game, okay? So it's looking really good so far. Now, what happens when Kyle Lowry goes out on the road? Well, it gets even more green, folks. On the road in the playoffs this season, 9 for 10, 90% hit rate. His averages shoot up to 16.3 points and assists per game. Yep, I'm Awesome is asking, do the projections factor blowout potential? The projections factor in everything. The game total, the pace that these teams play with, the amount of points given up to each position, who the referees and officials are going to be tonight for tonight's game. It factors in all that. What do we think about this one, though? Let's talk about this, because this one's, to me, looking like, I guess, I don't know, one of the more confident moves based on what we're seeing. Actually, that's Kyle Lowry at home. Kyle Lowry on the road, still really good, though. 6 for 10, 60% hit rate. So 11.6 points and assists per game. 14 points and assists per game overall throughout the playoffs. 75% hit rate. I mean, how many props are you guys going to find tonight where a guy's hitting at a 75% hit rate throughout the playoffs? I'm just saying. Might be worth taking a shot on. Against Denver, he's only played Denver once. In that game, he only had 6 points and assists in that game. Like I said, though, a lot of different injuries have happened to Miami since that game back in December. Kyle Lowry's role has grown as well. So, I mean, that's what you have to look forward to with Kyle Lowry. Projected to go over on 3 out of 3 models. The juice is in your favor for the over. And he's 15 for 20 throughout the playoffs this season. So I don't hate that one. I think that one is well worth a shot. I mean, on what is probably a very wild and unpredictable type of night, I think Kyle Lowry for more than 10.5 points and assists may not be the worst look. All right. Yeah, I know. What about the Nuggets? Well, that's a good question. I mean, we've looked at some Nuggets options, and none of them are really like grabbing hold of me at this moment. But here's some more Bruce Brown unders. Bruce Brown for under points and assists. Bruce Brown for under points, rebounds, and assists. Seems like the betting market is down on Bruce Brown today, despite the fact that he's been really solid throughout the playoffs. What about Aaron Gordon? Oh man, this guy. You want to talk about frustrating. Him and we'll throw Rui Hachimura in there as well. Very tough guys to figure out throughout the playoffs. Two thorns in my side. We've got AG today at 21 points, rebounds, and assists. They're suggesting, and again, they being the odds pulled from the sports books, that we take the over on Aaron Gordon at 51.4% chance to hit. So his line is 20.5, but there's so much juice coming in on the over at 20.5 points, rebounds, and assists that PrizePicks has bumped him up to 21 PRA. So let's go take a look at Aaron Gordon's numbers here. Is he projecting for more or less than 21? 21. First projections got him at 22.1. So like I said, ton of juice on the over at 20.5. Some of these lines on like FanDuel, PointsBet, they've already reposted him at 21.5 because they were just getting too much heat on the over at 20.5. So AG's first projection says, hey, we like the way that this is looking. We're going to take the over here. Second projection, this guy, all right, look at this, folks. This has got to be wrong. RotoWire, I love you. But you're telling me, you mean to tell me that Aaron Gordon's going for 32 points, rebounds, and assists tonight? Stop it. Stop it. If Aaron Gordon goes for 32 points, rebounds, and assists tonight, I will give somebody $32 out of my own damn pocket. I don't see that happening. Aaron Gordon ain't going for no 32 PRA tonight. If it happens, though, I'm picking somebody from tomorrow's show or the next show, whatever. I'm picking somebody. I'm going to give somebody $32 if Aaron Gordon racks up 32 PRA tonight. I'm not buying that projection. So let's take a third and final projection here and take a look at that one. We'll bust out the calculator for this because we got numbers. 14.2 points plus 6.2 for the boards and another 3.2 for the assists. 23.6. Now that is more than 21. So we got three projections. One of them is really fluky looking, but nonetheless, three projections all have Aaron Gordon going for more than 20.5 or even 21 points, rebounds, and assists. But this guy, as I mentioned before, as I alluded to, this dude is hard to trust. Hard to trust. Now, you go back to that Minnesota series, AG was him. He was balling. But we're looking at what he's done in like the last, I don't know, 10 games. Let's look at that. 3 out of his last 10 playoff games, he's only gone over 20.5 points, rebounds, and assists in 3 out of 10 games. That's a 30% hit rate. That is not good. And like, yeah, he's riding high coming off of a 33 PRA game against the Lakers, but am I supposed to trust him based on what he did in the last game against a completely different team? Am I supposed to just forget about the fact that he went under in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of his last 9 games? I don't forget. And I'm not quick to forget what Aaron Gordon has done to me in the past. So I don't know. I'm not loving the fact that, you know, he's being bet over. I know the projections and everything are all looking great, but oh man, I don't know if I could trust this guy. He's 4 for 8 at home at 20.5. He's gone over in 50% of his games. It's a coin flip. It's not like he's crushing it at home or anything. Averaging 21.1 PRA, playing in Denver. And then against Miami, he's played them once this season. It was back in December. 19 points, rebounds, and assists. So he went under in that game. That sounds reasonable. You know, around 19, maybe he hits 20. But he ain't going for 32 PRA. I just don't see it. I ain't buying it. But that's a little bit of information about Aaron Gordon for you. Like I said, a lot of money coming in on Aaron Gordon's over at 20.5. He is projecting very well today. So you could take a shot, but man, y'all better flex it. If you have the opportunity to flex it like you can on PrizePicks, you better make it a flex play because I ain't powering nothing that has Aaron Gordon involved in it. All right. Nikola Jokic, 50.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Let's say you've already used your free square. PrizePicks is offering that free square. Nikola Jokic, 0.5 points. He scores 1 bucket. It's a winning pick. But let's say you've already used that, right? You're looking for another way to play Joker tonight. Well, he's at 50.5, 51.3% chance that he goes over 50.5 points, rebounds, and assists. So let's take a look at Jokic. Some projections for Nikola Jokic. The first one, 53.8. I do think that he's going to have a great series against Miami. I mean, if this guy all of a sudden flatlines and runs into a wall because of, I don't know, Bam Adebayo or whoever Miami's, whatever Miami's going to scheme up to try and slow him down, I guess it could happen. But I really think Jokic is going to have a good series. Taking a look at some of these different lines on Nikola Jokic's PRA, though, kind of interesting. So you've got him at 50.5 on PrizePicks, right? FanDuel has already taken liberties and moved his line up to 51.5 points, rebounds, and assists. You got a site like PointsBet that's got him up at 52.5. So we're seeing PrizePicks kind of on the lower side at 50.5. FanDuel, PointsBet, 1 to 2 points higher on Jokic. So you got a couple different books who think that 50.5 is just not high enough. And I mean, Jokic really has that sort of upside, that sort of potential. So let's check some other projections here on Nikola Jokic. 49.3 PRA, less than 50.5 in this case. And then we'll check a third and final projection. Per usual. Let's bust out the calc. 27.8 points plus 13.8 boards plus another 10.6 dimes. Ooh, they got him projected for a triple-double tonight, y'all. Oops. I think that was 52. Let me run that back again. My bad. Fat fingered that one. 10.6. There we go. 52.2 points, rebounds, and assists. So yeah, Number Fire's got it projected to go for a triple-double tonight. So that's looking really sweet. 2 out of 3 projection models say Jokic is going over 50.5 PRA. You're seeing, like I said, FanDuel, PointsBet have him 1 to 2 PRA higher than PrizePicks. So that's the kind of thing that you look for, right? When we're talking about trying to find value on some of these picks, props, and plays, that's the type of value we're looking for. When 1 or 2 sites has a guy priced at something and PrizePicks has him priced at another number, I mean, somebody's going to be right, somebody's going to be wrong. That's where you're kind of line shopping, line comparing, right? Now, looking at Joker's numbers here throughout the playoffs, 15 playoff games, my boy is averaging 53.5 points, rebounds, and assists. It has only gotten better in the last 10 games as well, 56.4 points, rebounds, and assists. I mean, dude's been dominant. Last 5 games, 54 PRA. I think this game against LA, he was in some foul trouble. Where's his personal fouls at? I think that was the game where he got into a little foul trouble. No, 3. Only 3 fouls in that game. Maybe no, wait. No, he had more than 3 fouls. 4 fouls in that game. I think he had some first half foul trouble or something. I don't know. Either way, he underperformed in 1 game against the Lakers. 10 out of 15 though. I mean, in his last like 10 games, green beans, baby. 8 out of his last 10 games, he's hit the over at 50.5 PRA, 80% hit rate. So some sexy game logs here for Joker. Now, when he plays at home in the playoffs, not too shabby. 5 for 8, 63% hit rate. Averaging 56.6 PRA in his last 5 home games. Monster. Just a monster. Now, against Miami this season, he has played them now twice. Check this out. 50.5 PRA. He's only racked up 43 and 47 against Miami. Do we think playoff Joker's a different type of Joker? I mean, are we worried about the fact that he went under against Miami in 2 games, 43 and 47 respectively? 0 for 2 against Miami in the regular season, but hey, that was a while ago. That was December. That was February. This is playoff Nikola Jokic. A lot of green in there, man. So I think he would be a fine option for you if you wanted to take another Nikola Jokic option for the over. I would probably take Jokic over PRA. I think there's enough data to support you taking a shot on Jokic over 50.5. Like I said, Two different books have him a point to 2 points higher. His projections look pretty good across the board. 2 out of 3 sites have him going over. And then, like I said, you've got just rock solid production out of Nikola Jokic here, despite the fact that in 2 regular season games, he kind of stumbled against Miami in both of those. So we'll see. We'll see. Bam's been known to put some clamps on some bigs before. If you look at Bam Adebayo versus Joel Embiid, he's done a good job against Embiid in the past. Let's wrap this up with this last pick, and then I'll take some questions from the chat. Appreciate everybody rocking with me. We're at 91 likes, 215 people watching. Come on, push us over that 99.5 like line. We're trying to go for 100 or more likes by the time I hit end on this show, folks. Push me over. Need your help. Jimmy Butler, 34.5 points and rebounds. Again, they're saying take the under on Jimmy. We talked about Jimmy just a minute ago. Points-wise, they were saying take the under. Based on the odds, take the under on Jimmy's points at 27.5. The odds are also saying take the under on Jimmy at 34.5 points and rebounds. So let's go take a look at that one real quick. I got a feeling that he's going to be projecting for probably close to or more on his points and rebounds. The projection models seem to like Jimmy. The odds on the sports books do not like Jimmy. In other words, overs for Jimmy through the projections, unders for Jimmy on the books. So it's going to be one of those tough decisions you're going to have to be forced to make tonight. But this first projection, 37.5 points and rebounds, says take the over on Jimmy based on the projection. Second projection for Jimmy Butler, points, rebounds, 36.3 on a line of 34.5. So that is 2 pretty healthy, pretty solid projected overs. And then a third and final projection for Jimmy Butler, 28.8 points plus another 7.7 boards, brings Jimmy all the way up to 36.5 points and rebounds. So again, I know what the optimizer's saying. It's saying take the under at 34.5, but it's hard to do that when you got 3 different projection models saying take the over here. So you're going to have to make a decision. Are you riding with the odds on the sports books, or are you riding with the projection models? I mean, historically speaking, Jimmy Butler hasn't had the greatest hit rates when it comes to his points or points and rebounds throughout the playoffs. Here's his points again, 47%. These are all his playoff games, 19 playoff games, 47% on the points. When you look at the points and rebounds, it's a little healthier at 58%. Not terrible. 11 for 19 throughout the playoffs at 34.5 points and rebounds. So again, people are betting the under from what it seems, but the projections like it. He's got a little higher hit rate here at 58% on the points and rebounds. Take a look at what he's done on the road. 6 for 9 on the road, 67% hit rate, averaging 34.3 points and rebounds. His last 5 games, 31 points and rebounds. That's because he had a stinker against New York with 26 and an even bigger stinker against Boston with 19 points and rebounds. So what are you guys thinking? Jimmy Butler having a good game tonight, or is Jimmy Butler tired? He might be tired. I'd be tired. I mean, shoot, we just battled Boston for 7 games. I mean, wouldn't you be tired too? And then you got to fly out west, and then you got to play in like higher altitude, and the air's thinner, and you're going to be gasping for breath. I mean, he might be tired. One thing I do know is that anything can happen. But as I mentioned, I'm taking the biggest risk, all right? I'm taking Caleb Martin under 23.5 points and rebounds. The fairy tale ends tonight. The Caleb Martin saga is over. All right, his confidence is probably hurt. He thought, man, I should have got that Eastern Conference Finals trophy. I can't believe they gave that to Jimmy Butler. Man, I'm just going to sulk and I'm going to pout and I'm not going to play good tonight because F them. They didn't give me the trophy. No, I don't know. I have no idea what's going on between that guy's ears, but that's what I'm hoping for. I'm praying for your downfall, Caleb Martin. Don't do me dirty. All right, let's get through some of these questions because I know y'all got a lot of them. We've been chatting for a while, over an hour. Whew, one game, and look at us. Over an hour later. Let's hit this super chat real quick. Everyday Fantasy, my guy Don P. He says, let's talk about Bruce Brown's first half PRA at 9, please. No doubt, no doubt. Let's look at it. Bruce Brown, like I said, seemed like he was a pretty big betting favorite on a number of different player projections today. But my man Don P's throwing us a curveball. He said, let's go to the first half for Bruce Brown. First half only, PRA, Bruce Brown. Let's see. Well, it would be helpful if we click Bruce Brown's name and not Jimmy Butler's name. All right, first half, you said he's at 9. Cool. I'm just going to bump him down to 8.5 so we can see how many times he's hit at least 9 or more. All right, so here we go. Bruce Brown playoff games. First half PRA, he is hit 9 or more in 9 out of 15 games. That's a 60% hit rate. Was the man against Minnesota, 13, 12, 11, 11, 10. Couple of stinkers against Phoenix, 12, and then 5. I mean, didn't do so hot. He was kind of hit or miss in the Phoenix series. 2 for 6 against the Suns. Now, the Lakers, obviously, they only played the Lakers 4 games. That's all it took to get the king and all his men up out of there. But 18, 10, 6, and 1. So I don't know, Mr. Everyday Fantasy, are you taking the over or are you taking the under on this? I'm not sure which way you're wanting to go with this. That's right, Steven. Over an hour and only 3 picks, and they look iffy. Yes. That is that second sentence. Guys, don't put too much stock on today's game 1, especially no 6-man flex. Steven, couldn't have said it better myself, my friend. I've been trying to warn y'all all show long. I know we love our NBA. We love our professional basketball, but come on now. Ain't too many people that have been profitable bettors in the Eastern Conference and Western Conference Finals. And if you are, my God, go buy a lottery ticket. If you are up in the Eastern Conference, Western Conference Finals overall, go buy yourself a lottery ticket, man, because you've got Lady Luck on your side. Anyway, it looks like you are liking this because at home, he's been pretty darn good. All right. So his last 8 playoff games, first half only, PRA, he has gone over in 6 out of 8. 75% hit rate. So my man Don P's wanting to take the over here. Folks, I don't have any projections for first half only plays, unfortunately. Technology has not afforded us that just yet. But what about against Miami? Well, he scored 10 first half PRA against Miami back on December 30th. 8 first half PRA against Miami on February 13th. So the game that he did go over was a game at home. Okay. So there you go. There's a little bit of information about my guy, Bruce Brown, for the first half PRA. Ace V says, pitchforks to you, CJ. Preying on the Heat's downfall. Hey, just one guy. Caleb Martin. All of a sudden, Caleb Martin turned into Kobe? Hell no. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. He did take advantage of a very good matchup, I guess, against Boston. I hope Caleb Martin turns back into a pumpkin. You know, that guy that was like the 8th man in the rotation coming off of the bench. That's the Caleb Martin that I want to see tonight. Guy that would come out there and just look like not impressive. That's what I'm hoping for. It's a ballsy move, man. Ballsy move. But hey, it's the playoffs, baby. It's the NBA Finals. Crazier things have happened, right? Are you really going to be surprised if Caleb Martin comes out there and has a subpar game tonight? You're going to be like, oh, there he is. There's the Caleb Martin we all know and love. Not this guy who's been lighting it up in the last couple of games against the Celtics. New Oasis says, what about Kyle props? I think the best looking Kyle Lowry prop that we stumbled upon was Kyle Lowry for more than 10.5 points and assists. 75% hit rate throughout the playoffs at 10.5 points and assists. Bam over 2.5 turnovers. Bam turnovers on the road have been pretty good throughout the playoffs. Let's take a peek at that one real quick. If memory serves me correct, Bam Adebayo does tend to turn the ball over just a little bit more on the road than he does when he's at home. So overall, Bam has turned this thing over 3 or more times in 12 out of 20 games. That's a 60% hit rate. Now, when Bam is at home, he averages 2.4. When Bam's on the road, he averages 3 turnovers per game. So he will be on the road tonight, obviously, against Denver. 6 for 10 on the road throughout the playoffs. That's a 60% hit rate, averaging 3 turnovers per game playing on the road. Against Denver, he's 1 for 2. 4 turnovers at Denver, only 1 turnover at Miami. So again, on the road, Bam, more likely to turn it over than he is at home. See if I got some projections for you on this one. Adebayo. First projection, I've got 3 turnovers on a line of 2.5, so that's looking pretty good. That's an over. Second projection for Bam, turnovers 2.8 on a line of 2.5. So 2 projections closer to 3 than 2, right? So maybe you do think about taking the over for Bam Adebayo today. As far as this being a plus EV pick, I think it is based on the odds that I've seen. But let's refresh the Daily Grind Fantasy Optimizer, punch in Bam Adebayo's name real quick. And on his turnovers, you've got about a 50.5% chance of him going over 2.5. So just a little bit better than a coin flip, but better nonetheless. What else? What else? This game is looking like trash. 6-man flex is looking like a guaranteed loss. That's been the case, Steven. That's been the case for the Eastern Conference and Western Conference Finals. It is hard to get 6 out of 6 right at this stage of the game, at this stage of the season. CJ3 Stack says, what about Bam under rebounds? Okay, let's take a look at that one. We talked about Bam points and assists. He's projecting crazy high today for his points and assists line. He does average slightly more points and assists on the road than he does at home throughout the playoffs. But, you know, Bam's been another one of those guys where it's just been hard, difficult to trust Bam Adebayo for any overs. Based on what I'm seeing here, though, he's at 9 boards. The under looks like the optimal way to go here. 50.3% chance. So, like, again, almost a coin flip that Bam goes under 9 rebounds. He's at 8.5 on the books. He's getting some pretty good juice on the over at 8.5, which is why PrizePicks went ahead and bumped him up to 9. But you might be onto something here. It might be difficult for Bam to pull in 10 boards. So I'm going to just buzz through these real quick. 10.7 projected rebounds. Oh, here we go again. The projection models are in love with Bam Adebayo today, guys. 12.97 projected rebounds for Bam on a line of 9. Sheesh. That's a high number. And then the third and final projection has Bam at a more conservative 9.1 rebounds. I mean, I think 8 to 10 is realistic. I mean, this 13 rebound number, I don't know about that. 11, like this is almost at 11 projected rebounds. That seems a little bit too high as well. But there's some information for you. Not going to be able to get to everybody's question. I'm skimming through these guys. Just skimming through them. Yep, I'm awesome says, do you post your picks pre-game on your Patreon? Of course I do. Why would I post them post-game? That wouldn't help anybody out. I'm here to help people. Of course I post them pre-game. It's the only way to post them is pre-game. But yes, I do post different plus EV, well-projected player props to our Discord each and every day. For those of you who are in Patreon, you already know the deal. I post cheat sheets for various sports. Again, those who are already Patreon members, you know the drill. You know what I do. I do what I do. We hit a couple of 2Xers last night. The night before that, we hit 2 2Xers. We hit a 2.25Xer, and we hit a 3Xer. So we're looking for that big one. But 2 profitable days in a row now. So yeah, we've been doing pretty well with WNBA, MLB. Last night was Major League Soccer, MLS. I mean, you know, I'm dabbling. I'm getting into everything. Less NBA for me nowadays, though. Less NBA for sure. Yep, I'm awesome says, Tampa, that's my city. That's my city, bro. How old are you? If I'm older than you, then it's my city. But if you're older than me, then it's your city, all right? Yeah, I don't like donating either. Donations, I mean, you could go donate to charity, man. We don't want to donate to PrizePicks, though. So, like I said, take your foot off the gas a little bit. Scale back those bets. Take a little bit of, juice off of what you're playing each and every night on NBA. But there's definitely better sports right now than trying to figure out what basketball is going to do for you. Let's see. Rocket Sauce says, hi, CJ. Caleb Martin over 29.5 fantasy score and Bruce Brown over 22.5 fantasy score. Thank you, my friend. Well, you already know how I feel about Caleb Martin. I'm praying for his downfall tonight. But let's look at Caleb Martin's fantasy score. Let's do it. I want Caleb Martin to turn back into the Caleb Martin of old tonight. That's what I'm hoping for. His first projection on fantasy scores, 29.48. His line is 29.5. So if you're using fantasy score projections to help with your decision making, make sure that you're using FanDuel fantasy score projections just for NBA. This is just for NBA. FanDuel fantasy score projections, all right? So this first projection is 29.4. Second projection for Caleb Martin. I think I've only got two projections I think I can dig up for you. 29.6. So that 29.5 fantasy score number for Caleb Martin is a razor sharp, very sharp line. So I'm going to stay away. I'm going to stay away from it. I don't think there's much of an edge or advantage on the fantasy score for Caleb Martin. So we got two different projections. Both of them are like right there at 29.5. So careful of that. Careful of that. The other one you had was Bruce Brown. Again, there was a lot of action, a lot of juice on these sports books today. A lot of non-believers in Bruce Brown. So let's take a look at Bruce Brown's fantasy score projection. Although the sports books have Bruce Brown going under on a lot of his different projection lines, the juice is definitely flowing on the under for Bruce Brown. Well, his fantasy score projection is 20.3 on a line of 22.5. So that's an under. That is an under today. Another projection for Bruce Brown, just to give you another perspective here, 22.5 fantasy score, which is right on the head, right on the money, right, of where his fantasy score is at on PrizePicks. So two very sharp lines here for both Caleb Martin and Bruce Brown. I'm just not seeing enough of an edge or an advantage. Now, hell, these projections could be completely wrong. They've been off their rocker for a while now with the Eastern Conference and Western Conference Finals. So if you feel some type of good way about Bruce Brown and Caleb Martin, proceed with taking the overs on both of them. I mean, it's really anyone's guess. It's game one, new series, new teams. Who knows what can happen? Anything really, truly could happen. So I don't want to talk you off of anything, but I'm just here to provide you with some information, man. Provide you with some info. What else we got? Let's see. Yep, I'm awesome. I do mess with WNBA. We've had some very nice WNBA picks, man. Yeah. I just hit a 6-pick flex the other night with mostly WNBA in it. Came through clutch, man. $625, I think, that day. So yeah. Let's see. What else? Anything else? Tazio says, CJ's Patreon is the best, not gonna lie. Tazio, I thank you for that comment, man. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm glad you find it worth, what is it, $20 a month, 67 cents per day. It's not a whole lot of money, folks. So, I mean, if you want to be a part of a community of other people who are trying to help each other win, I mean, that's what we're all about, family atmosphere in there. Patreon link down in the description of today's video. Appreciate you. Anything else? KCP, yeah, you know, we haven't talked any Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and he definitely had some shining moments, some good games in that last series. So let's take a look at Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Anything popping for KCP tonight? Well, it looks like an under on his points and rebounds, an under on his points, maybe an over on his points and assists, but we're not seeing any like crazy good juice or crazy good odds on any KCP props from what I'm seeing here. They're saying the best way to play KCP based on the odds pulled from the sports books here, you got the best chance of KCP going under points and rebounds tonight at 13.5. So let's go see if the projections are kind of lining up with that. Let's see if KCP is going to be an over or under option for you. Pretty tight projection here with 13.7 on the line of 13.5. Second projection for Pope, 15.4. They've got him going for more than 13.5 by quite a little bit. And then a third and final projection, 13.9 on his points and rebounds. So 3 out of 3 projections saying take the over on KCP on his points and rebounds tonight. Boy, it's going to be a very interesting night. I can tell you that, because we've got a lot of juice coming in one way on a guy or the other way, and then we got projections going in the opposite direction of the way that the people are betting these props. I mean, it's gonna be crazy tonight, y'all. Buckle up, buckle up. But 13.5 points and rebounds for KCP throughout the playoffs. He's covered this in 8 out of 15 games. That's a 53% hit rate. Shout out to props.cash for providing this information for us. The last 10 games for KCP, 6 for 10. I mean, he's hit the over in 5 out of his last 6 games. So he's been pretty good on the points and rebounds, but this was, you know, obviously against Phoenix, LA, Miami. Could be a different animal completely. Speaking of, against Miami, he's played Miami twice, 22 PR and 12 PR. So like one more bucket falls for him against Miami in February. He would have went over in 2 out of 2 games versus the Heat. Now, when he plays at home, KCP, 15.1 points and rebounds per game. That's 4 for 8 throughout the playoffs. So, I don't know, man. Ain't a whole lot of stuff adding up here for me. Ain't a whole lot of stuff adding up. Yeah, we cover some hockey in the Patreon as well, for sure. Absolutely. We got hockey going, we got WNBA going, we got guys posting MMA, UFC, you know, stuff in there. I mean, we dabble in everything. Esports, CSGO, League of Legends. Yeah, I mean, whatever we can get our hands on, man. We're talking about it. Soccer, all that. Brian, we've already talked about Bam Adebayo's turnovers. You must be late to the party. We were saying take the over on Bam Adebayo's turnovers. He averages more turnovers per game on the road throughout the playoffs than he does at home. It's projecting well, too. Sorry you're late, Brian. But yes, the over on his turnovers, Bam's turnovers, look like a pretty decent look. In a night full of uncertainty, anything can happen. Guys, I'm going to end it right here. I only played one entry. Y'all didn't miss out on a whole lot. I think this Kyle Lowry play looks pretty solid. I'm rolling the dice on Caleb Martin at 23.5 points and rebounds to go under tonight. Why is that? Well, he's got very poor hit rates historically throughout the playoffs. He's going to be on the road tonight, coming off a 7-game series, playing in higher altitude against a tough Denver Nuggets team. I'm looking for Caleb Martin to turn back into that 5th or 6th option tonight instead of that 2nd or 3rd option tonight. All right? That's what I'm hoping for. We'll see, though. Crazier things have happened. Maybe I got it right with Caleb Martin. Maybe I got it wrong. We'll find out. All we can do now, sit back, relax, and watch tonight's game 1. Good luck to you if you're in Patreon. Guys, I'll be posting an NBA cheat sheet for you in just a little bit. And I'll be posting any additional MLB, WNBA, or NBA picks that look good as we get closer to some of those other games starting. I appreciate all your support. If you want to join Patreon and support what I do here on YouTube, links are down in the description of today's video. Good luck on all your picks. Peace.